This is a season when there are plenty of opportunities to share our gifts, and people are thinking about that. And yet, sometimes we're not really certain when we should share them. When should we give someone the gift that we have for them or share some of the gifts that we have with them? We're going to talk about that today on episode 731 of today's Antidote as we discuss sharing your gifts, when to share them, and more. So think about when you consider sharing your gifts, and we'll see how what you have to say matches up with our thoughts and ideas. All this and more on today's Antidote.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, Tom. Teams are back at full strength. That's what I want to say. That hockey reference, right? We're both here. We're both ready to go. We are fired up. It's Thursday. Yeah.
Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, Mr. Brush. How are you?
I'm well. You're all fired up today.
I am. I went out to dinner last night. Wednesday night is typically date night, as you know about my life. And we went out last night to a nicer place than we usually go to and had a really good time, which was just, it was nice. It was nice to be an adult. You know, I wore a sport coat and
really?
The person I was with, I wore a sport coat. The person I was with wore very nice outfit. We had a really good time. It was just nice. So I'm a little wound up today just because I had a really great piece of filet mignon, which I don't get to have very much anymore. Yeah.
Good for you.
Just a celebration of sorts.
For something coming up?
Yes, something coming up. Yep.
Excellent.
That's it. Yeah. Just sort of worked out. You know, it's a busy time of year, so it's just a good night to take and celebrate with someone that was worth celebrating it with. So
nice. Good to hear.
Yeah.
Good to hear.
Sorry, don't know where that came. I've derailed you. I'm sorry about that.
You didn't derail me.
You asked why I was so wound up.
Yeah, you shared.
Here I am wound up. So,
you know, you decided this was the time that you wanted to share your gifts and your thoughts and ideas.
I really enjoyed yesterday's show, I got to say.
Because it was just you? I know you've been trying to get rid of me for 720 episodes, though. The first 10 were probably okay.
4. You know I'm kidding. Go ahead, do your thing, because I didn't do it very well yesterday. I spoke too quickly, and you know, you do it so much more beautifully with your dulcet tones. So rock and roll.
You're not judging yourself and your actions, are you?
Of course I am.
Okay.
Come on, you know me.
We still have some work to do on that, I guess.
We do.
All right, everyone. Good morning and welcome to today's Antidote, our daily broadcast and podcast. Each week, Bob and I have a conversation around a topic. As I mentioned in the opening, this week's topic is sharing your gifts. What an appropriate conversation for this time of year. And today we're going to discuss and focus on when to share them. And as we go through that conversation, if you have any thoughts or ideas you'd like to share around the topic, please feel free to put them in the comments of whatever social media you happen to be following us on. Whether it is YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or
LinkedIn Live, baby.
Yes, LinkedIn Live. We welcome those thoughts and ideas, and because we know it'll add value to the show and likely have an impact on the conversation that we are having. And so when you share that, it'll add a benefit to someone else, most likely. At the end of that conversation, Bob and I will then offer our one thing, our today's antidote, that we hope will help you or someone else figure out if you're stuck on when to share your gifts, when to share them, so that you can move forward, take your next step along your own unique pathway to success. And of course, if you have a one thing, an antidote that you would like to share, we welcome that in the comments as well. Before we dive into our conversation, though, each morning, Bob and I go through our celebrations. Bob, what are you celebrating today?
I think I already did it. I think I'm going to go with a really nice dinner. What the heck?
Okay. Excellent.
And I also want to celebrate Steven's back. We haven't seen Steven in a couple weeks, and he's back this morning. Says, "Good morning. I've been sleeping in. Sorry." So so Steven's back. So it's a good day. It's a good day.
Welcome back, Steven. And you know what? Sometimes it's okay to sleep in.
Amen.
We need that extra time of sleep. So I am celebrating that I'm back in the saddle. I've been down and out a little bit with some not so good illness. And so I'm happy to be back in this seat on the show. I was trying to be here yesterday in a power outage and just was not. It was probably meant for me to sleep in yesterday, actually. But that allowed Bob a chance to do it by himself, which I know he was dying to do.
Not really. It's just fun to do it differently.
Okay. I can appreciate
that. And to see if I had the ability to do what you do. Because I don't have a script. So I was literally going from memory. And Tom, Stephen joins us here. He's got a comment. He's celebrating writing another newsletter article yesterday night. Finished it, and he has 1,920 followers on the newsletter now. A LinkedIn newsletter. That's impressive. Very nice.
You'll have to share a link to it in the comments, Stephen, so that others may want to check it out.
We can get you to 1921.
Correct.
Maybe 1922 if you and I both join in.
There you go. You forgot about me again.
For the record, I think I've already joined that list.
Okay. All right. Now that we've done our celebrations, let's dive into our conversation around sharing your gifts. We've talked a little bit about the benefits, talked about the challenges. Well, Bob talked about the challenges. And today we're going to talk a little bit about when to share them. Do you want to kick us off, Bob?
Yes, it's kind of a weird situation because I don't think of sharing my gifts. I don't get up in the morning and say, boy, if I have a really good day, I get to share my sense of humor. I get to share my problem-solving skills. I get to share my ability to connect with people. I just go through my day doing what I do. And as those gifts are needed, I draw on them. It's more reactive than active. I don't, I guess if you're a musician like Chris Montcalmo, you have a gift for playing your guitar and you schedule events and you go out and you play guitar at the events. That's a little more sharing your gifts in that way. But I don't think I'm conscious of sharing my gifts. Like I don't get up in the morning and say, hey, I got a program with Tom today. Here are the 4 gifts I'm going to use and share with people. It just is organic. Does that?
It does. I do. And I often wonder, how many times I'm not sure we're as cognizant of when we share our gifts as we are as when we choose not to share our gifts. Those times when someone asks us a question, someone does something or looks like they're stuck or need help, that we then choose whether we want to share our thoughts or ideas or our gift with them. I think that's maybe when it's maybe not as much about when we share them as when we choose not to share them. Or if we share them and maybe the other person isn't really looking for them.
Right. Or not ready to receive them.
Correct. And I think that's a part of sharing your gifts is knowing if someone is ready to receive them and then you choosing whether or not you feel like you should share them in the moment. And I think sometimes that's the harder thing to consider is when do I want to share them? I know I've told this story and I'll tell it again because I think it adds value to this, is when my wife and I first started playing golf together.
This is my favorite story. You could tell this story every morning and I would enjoy it each time.
And I had been playing since I was a kid. So I clearly had a little more knowledge around the game that she did. And
can you hear that in the background?
Yeah, something's going. Sam Hunt's going crazy in the background.
Sam Hunt is not liking the glaze outside, I don't think. He's running at the patio door and slamming his body into it. Kittens.
Yeah, they're not really haven't figured it out yet.
No. So
anyhow, back to my story is we were starting to play golf and my wife, she would hit a shot that she was frustrated by. And I would try to share my knowledge, experience, and perspective around it. And she didn't want to hear it. She just wanted to play. She didn't want to get lessons. She didn't want to be told what to do. She didn't want to be told what she wasn't doing correctly. And I think that's sometimes part of, and maybe this could have been our topic, was oversharing. Is sometimes people aren't ready to receive your gifts or don't want to receive them. And I think that's one of the things that's hard about sharing your gifts sometimes, is if someone has ever told you that they don't want your feedback, your knowledge, your experience, or your perspective, that you then get a little hesitant about sharing it in other places when it could be really helpful. And I think that that's one of the reasons that as I started thinking about this topic, is why sometimes it can be difficult to know when to share it, because we're not always certain what's going on in the other person's perspective and what's real for them and where they want to be. And do they really value or want what we have to offer or not? They just want to share what they have, do what they're doing.
I think there are also times that we want to share because, I'm so good at this. Like if I were really good at getting LinkedIn newsletter connectors and Steven said I have 1,920 and I've got 20,000. Ooh, here's a chance to tell them exactly how I can get to 20,000. And then that makes me look really good. And it's not about helping that person. It's about validating who and what I am. I think that happens. I also think there's a situation where, the person gives a facial expression or their reaction to the offer, like, hey, I could help you with that. And we just plod right through rather than realizing that they've given us a very subtle facial gesture of, really? I kind of want to solve this on my own. I've had that sometimes with people when I've shown them writing that I'm doing or read to them what I was going to do in a presentation. It's like they want to solve it. And I don't want them to solve it. I want them to tell me, hey, that was a little foggy there. You might want to go back and fix it. And, I don't know if you've ever done this, but I took some fiction writing courses, and you would give people your short story in a group and they workshop it. And the workshop could be really valuable if they said, hey, I was a little foggy in this section. The female character, I don't quite understand why she's motivated to cut grapes. No one I know cuts grapes. What's the symbolism behind it? Okay, great question. Love it. The other person goes, hey, so I was thinking about your kitchen scene with her, and I picture her at the beach with a whale out in the ocean all alone. And it's like, that's another story. That's not, you're not helping me. You've taken my story and made it this thing you want. And I think we do that a lot with people. We take their vision and overlay our vision on it and make it about us rather than making it, how can we support them? How can we help them achieve what they're trying to achieve? And also, I think sometimes we're getting in the way of them learning lessons along the way. And, using the example of Steven and the LinkedIn, and I don't have 20,000 people on my LinkedIn list, so just so we're clear. But if I did, for Steven to get from 1,920 to 10,000, he's going to learn a lot along the way. If I just tell him how to do it, he may have missed out on a really valuable lesson along the way that doesn't just apply to that situation, but to all of his marketing, how he interacts with customers, how he sees his business. There are a whole bunch of things embedded in that. And sometimes I think our gifts can overshadow the opportunity for someone to enhance their knowledge, experience, and perspective. So it's a tricky situation. When do you share and when do you not share? But I don't think I consciously go through the day thinking about it to the level I am right now.
Interesting.
Do you?
Sometimes I have thoughts and ideas that I think I should share, and I like, I think this could add value, and I'm not sure they're ready to receive it. So
I do that sometimes. Yeah, there are times I do that, but I don't think I don't have an inventory of my gifts over here, and then a situation comes up, and I go, "Ooh, I could tell them this." It's not that linear, at least not for me. And I think the other thing is sometimes we don't realize the gifts we have.
Well, I think if when you were talking about that, I was thinking of, when I think of what are our gifts are our knowledge, experience, and perspective. And so we share that oftentimes without thinking about it, that sometimes our gifts aren't this specific. I mean, yes, it is this specific thing, yet I think it's much broader than that. And I think we sometimes think of as our gifts, what are those things that we are really good at, or we believe we're really good at, rather than all the things that we know, all the experiences that we've had, and all the knowledge that we've gained. Again, if it's a little bit more than someone else has, we're sharing a gift with them. Even if it's, I've had this experience and it didn't go as I thought, that's still, if that's something they've never experienced, that's still something that they can benefit from. And I think that's maybe, again, is maybe one of the things we didn't do this month, as we've talked about our gifts, is really defining what are our gifts. Maybe we did at the beginning of the month. I'd have to go back and listen to the first week of December to understand. And I think now that I think about it, I think we did have that conversation, that if you think of your gifts as everything that is real for you, then I think anytime you pause to decide, should I really share this with someone else, or should I do something different? And is, I think, a time when you stop to consider, not just should I give them this piece of information, or should I tell them this is how to do it, that you've considered whether or not to share the gift that you have.
Okay, but we also share gifts that we aren't even aware we're sharing. Like, I've had more than a handful of people say to me, I love the fact that you and Tom get up every morning and do this. That commitment to doing that every day really motivates me. I wouldn't consider getting up and doing this every morning as one of the gifts. I didn't hone that in college. I didn't go to a course somewhere along the way, a seminar that taught me be ready and up and start at 7:00. That's not how it comes about. It's just each day I get up and do it. Now, I could see where someone would say, hey, it's a real gift to see that you guys are so committed to what you're doing. It makes me realize I want to be more committed to stuff. But that's not like on the list of things on my resume. I don't list got up 731 times and did a show at 7 a.m. So I think part of it is our gifts are how someone reacts to us and what they see in us, more so than what we put out there consciously. Hey, you know what? I'm going to be a really funny guy today. I'm going to crack a joke every chance I get all day, everywhere I go. I probably will do that without even trying.
And some people may not consider that a gift.
Some won't.
Correct. I think the thing is sometimes our gifts are not what we see them as. It's what do others see them as. Right. And for that person, the fact that we get up and do this every day is a gift that they have received. And if they've received it, somebody has to have given it.
Right.
And even though we don't necessarily consider that as a gift, that someone has received it in that regard.
Tom, I'm going to catch up on some comments. Steven's written a couple things here. One, he's a connector. Yesterday, I connected a vet who wants to run for president with the national political strategist. They liked each other. That's a successful connection. Very nice. He also said, oh, sorry, I hit the wrong button. There it is. An empty gift is better than no gift at all. Where's the other one? I'm trying to. You started your show in the pandemic. That is a gift to us all, which is very kind of him to say. And his other gift is his puppy Turbo. Great name for a dog, Turbo.
Well, and what's interesting is when I think about this show, I initially thought of it as a gift to me.
Right. That's how we started it, give to each other. Yeah.
Correct.
Hey, I need a reason to get up every morning because there's not going to be a reason for much longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's when it becomes a challenge of, and getting, a little bit back to our topic, I think, is sometimes we don't know when to share them. I think it's hard.
What we're sharing, right?
Correct. Or that we've given a gift at all.
Right.
And I think that as we think about it, I sort of lost my train of thought a little bit. And I also was thinking about my one thing. So I was trying not to get too into one and not the other.
But think about it this way, Tom. Last night, usually I try to make some sort of arrangements for date night. And last night I just was looking and I saw a place that I hadn't been and I thought it would be nice. And it just happened that it was nicer than usual. And it wasn't like I went out and consciously created this opportunity. It just sort of, the pieces fell because my knowledge, perspective, and experience told me we've been to these restaurants. It would be nice to try something new. And next thing you know, it sort of got to a place where, I wasn't expecting it to be a really great night. I mean, it's nice to go out on date night, yes, but this was more special for a variety of reasons. It kind of just fell into place. It wasn't like I got up yesterday morning and said, I really want to do this tonight differently. I want these things. I literally 15 minutes before I left the house put on a sport coat. I don't normally wear a sport coat on date night, but it's like, well, I got sport coats. I might as well wear one. What the heck? So, and then a quick call. Hey, I'm going to wear a sport coat. I don't know if that affects what you're going to wear. And then that changed the whole dynamics. So that the gift wasn't conscious. The gift wasn't calculated. The gift wasn't planned. And it fell into place. And I think so often that's what happens to us in business. The fact that these two people know Stephen and Stephen can connect these two people. I don't think Stephen got up like 6 months ago and said, boy, it'd be really great to connect a political strategist with someone who wants to run for president. Maybe he did, but that's not it. So I think our gifts are intertwined with our lives a lot, and not the way we're talking through it this week. It seems more calculated to me than it really is in a lot of cases. I think ultimately, maybe my one thing today is when do we share them? I think we share them all the time. And I think just how we exist in the world is how our gifts are shared most. You have gifts. There's a list of gifts I could offer that you provide me that I don't think you're aware of. Like you're a really calming influence. Like I can be all over the place. My time with you each day always calms me down. I don't think you'd list that on the list of things like on the resume. I have a calming influence on Bob. But that's one of those gifts that you bring to me. And I don't know if anyone else sees that. I don't know if your wife Liz sees that. I don't know if your children see that. They may see a different facet of you and be like, really? You think he's calm? You should see him when he's cooking dinner on Thanksgiving. He's a whirling dervish, dude. I don't know what you see. And that's the other thing, right? And we're at that time of year where people go to work parties and they take their spouse. And I'm sure you've had this experience. You go and you meet the person. It's like, well, they're not anything like my spouse described their colleague. I thought they were kind of nice. Is that really the person you were talking about? Because you see a different set of gifts in the holiday party situation. And we have it when you have that work friend, right? You have the person at work that you were buddies with, and then you see him outside of work and you realize like, oh, I didn't even realize this was, boy, without the varnish of work, I don't know if they're really the right person to be hanging out with. I want to share Stephen's gift to you, Tom, this morning. This is a daily motivator for me, not a calmer. I guess that's a gift to both of us. I love it. And I also like his comment, and this might be a one thing from Stephen. Randomness highlights the gifts. It is random.
Well, I like the quote. I do. And I think it's only random because our gifts aren't the same for everyone. Everyone sees different gifts within each of us. And I think that's so what you find as a gift from me is calmness. What Steven sees from this is motivator. You and I see this as some way motivator, or at least a groundedness of this show. And I think that it's how others see us and the gifts that we have. What is our knowledge, experience, and perspective that they benefit from in some way? And so that's why I think that people see it as a gift. Not that we are giving it always as a gift. I think it's in the receiving of it that it becomes a gift. Otherwise, it's just knowledge, experience, and perspective that we share, hoping that someone finds value in it, sees it as a gift. And so I think that the randomness of it is it's never the same. It's usually not the same gift for everyone. Everyone comes into interactions with us and they take different things away from that interaction because their knowledge, experience, and perspective is different. And so they are maybe looking for different things from different areas, or they seem to find it in something and say, oh, this is something that has value. And I want to continue doing this because it provides me with something. And I think that's a big part of us continuing to share is we don't know who and what we share is going to have value for someone else until we get to know them maybe. And then we start to understand that. Like now that I know that you find calmness in what I do, if I completely changed my approach, then calmness and I was crazy and all over the place. And then
folks, tune in tomorrow. We're going to get a really good episode.
So I just think that it's something that as long as we are consistent in the way that we share our gifts, others will get what they need from it. Actually, I'm going to say when we share our knowledge, experience, and perspective, that others will find a gift in there or they won't. And I think if they start telling us that they are not finding that value, then we'll modify what we do. When my wife said that she didn't want my feedback, I stopped giving it.
Right.
To the point where sometimes it got to a couple of months down the road, she would be like, well, actually, what did you see there? And now I knew that when she asked the question like that, I could then provide, here was some thoughts. Here's some of my knowledge, experience, and perspective. And until that point, I was not offering feedback because she no longer saw it as a gift. That make any sense?
Yes. And I think it's being ready to accept it. Right. And that's the complicated part of this. I might want to share a gift with someone, but if they're not ready to receive it, it's not going to land well.
Correct.
It could. And so we have this dynamic. This is what I love about the whole human interaction. It's not, I have a gift, I share the gift with Tom. It's got to be, I have a gift, Tom has to be ready to receive the gift. I have to deliver it in a way that Tom can receive it. Tom needs to receive it then, and we have to kind of find language that works for both of us, right? I use the word calm. If you see calm as something different than I'm saying it to be, then we've got to disconnect because you're going, well, calm, I mean, compared to you, anything's calm. But what fair? And so calm might, that's the language is a barrier at times.
Sure.
So there's a lot to this. But I think what I would say, my one thing is just how we go through the day. We share gifts all the time. And we may not be aware of the gifts we share. And, yes, there are times when you're consciously thinking about what gifts you're sharing and whether it's shared or not. But I think there are also the gifts of being on time, being prepared, knowing what you're talking about. There's a whole bunch of those things that our gifts to people. I would say to me, a big thing is being on time or being 5 minutes early really reflects to me a gift that the person values me. I know we start the program late every day. It's a long story. I hear it. So you think we've gotten to the when to share part?
I think so. I think the one thing that I would add, I think my one thing is remembering it's not a gift until someone is ready to receive it. I think so oftentimes we want to force our gifts down others when we see that they might need help or they might be in need of it, that we believe they are in need of this. And then we try to force our gift to them, thinking that since it works for me, it's going to work for them. And I think that's all the thing about coaching. As we were having this conversation earlier, I was thinking about this part of it, that to me, so much a part about coaching is not me telling somebody what to do, because that's what's worked for me. It's me helping them figure out what's going to work for them. And in my example, for my wife playing golf, me telling her what to do was not helping her. That's not what she was looking for. So that was no longer a gift. And once I stopped doing that, then at some point she said, geez, you know what? He's no longer telling me what to do. And now I have a question. I knew that now she was looking for some of my knowledge, experience, and perspective. And I think that's a piece of it that we sometimes forget, is we feel like we have these gifts and believe that they are the next best thing for the person who we see having a challenge.
Right.
And so we try to force our gifts on them, not share them. And I think there's a difference. Mm-hmm. And I think that when, sharing our gifts sometimes is finding out where's the person at and are they ready and open to receive what we would like to share with them. And I think,
which may or may not be a gift to them.
Which is why I think it's important for them to be in a space where they can receive it. Otherwise you're just being sort of a know-it-all and thinking that what you know is more important, different than theirs. And that if they only would do it your way, it would be the correct way to do it. Rather that there's many correct ways to do it based on your knowledge, experience, and perspective. And so I think that that's a challenge for all of us as we share our gifts. Maybe what I might have shared if I was here for the show yesterday. And I think that goes along with when to share them. I think it's great that we share our gifts until someone provides us with feedback that maybe they weren't ready to receive it. And then I think we have to understand, and maybe sometimes we have to be more aware of where they're at to understand that they might not be ready to receive it. And it might be beneficial for us to say something like, can I either ask you a question or do you mind if I share some thoughts on that? Because if they're not open to receive it, you're not giving them a gift. All you're doing is likely making it more difficult for them to figure out what they need to do.
That's a lot. My head is spinning.
That's part of my goal every day, is to figure out how I can have your head spinning.
It is spinning today. Yeah, we've thrown a lot at ourselves. Yes.
All right, everyone. Well, thanks for being with us, a part of the show. If you have a thought or idea you'd like to share, some of your gifts, we are open to receive them. So please feel free to share them in the comments, because that'll provide a space for somebody else to see them. And they may be desperately looking for exactly what you have to share. So we welcome your thoughts and ideas. If you're listening to the podcast, we know there's not an opportunity for you to share your thoughts or ideas there. So we've created 2 spaces for you to do that. If you're a LinkedIn person, you can go to the Renegade Success Network for Leaders and share your antidote or your thoughts there. If you're a Facebook person, go to the Ring of Renegades and you can share your thoughts and ideas in that space, so that you have the opportunity to put your gifts out there for someone to put your knowledge, experience, and perspective out there for someone who will really receive that as a gift. If they see that and it makes a difference for where they're at, you have given them a gift. So we welcome all of that because we know it'll add value to the people in those groups, and you might find some value there yourself. So we look forward to seeing you inside of one of those groups. If not, we'll see you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Eastern time for Bob's favorite show of the week.
Can't wait.
We'll be sharing our discoveries of the week. And of course, we will look for your thoughts and ideas around it then. So we look forward to seeing you then. Until then, go out and make it a great day.
Hey, embrace the renegade in you. It is so worth it. I promise. I don't make that many promises, but this one I can promise. And share your gifts.
Share your gifts.
When appropriate.
You'll go out. Well, here's the thing. You won't know if it's appropriate until you share them.
Right.
Unless you're really perceptive and you can see that someone is not. And even then, you may think they're not open to receive it, and they may be. So ask. It's a good way to know. All right, everyone. Go out and make it a great day. We'll see you soon. Thanks for listening to today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.